What's up, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube? This is Jazz1 JZWON. Coming at you through the power of YouTube. And I want to talk about something here real quick. I wasn't going to do it, but it's been kind of on my mind. So I said, something maybe this would be a perfect, time for me to jump back into the game. Um, I want to talk about what happened to Etika. Now, I know at this point, it may be kind of old news to a lot of you guys, but it's still something I've been kind of thinking about, and I just had to get some things off my chest. Um, because, and the reason why I had to get it off my chest, because I've been constantly thinking about it. And in some ways, uh, Edgar kind of reminds me of myself. When you look at him, you think about how he's been acting. In some ways, his behavior has been kind of erratic, and he's been dealing with some things, and you kind of get some clues as to what's been going on in his head from other YouTubers. One of the YouTubers that I've been listening to, and I'm gonna have his link down in the description. Um, the name of the YouTube channel, or maybe even the user, is called YaboyRoshi. Again, I'm going to have it down in the description. And he was talking about, um, you know, like one of the things that he was struggling with. That one of the same things that he said that even Etika had said in his last vid was that people expecting him to be one thing, you know, and he said that YouTube and social media kind of puts you in that place, in that space. It tends to do that to you. Um, I think that people in general have a tendency to do that to you. Um, and I know that's been kind of my experience. In case you listen to me, you can kind of tell. I'm living kind of south of the Mason-Dixie line, and I live in a very small place in a very small community, and I don't know if this is necessarily the reality. The fact of the matter is that it could just be that people don't care about me that much, but I have come to the realization that it does seem like any one thing that you do or have done is just immediately you, and that's just it. You can't mess up. You can't do something that is out of the ordinary, um, because people don't really understand that we have layers. And it was the same way that Roshi has said it himself. We all have layers. And it's just that sometimes you feel like a nut, and sometimes you don't. And um, people don't really understand that. And I to some degree, I don't think that we understand that about ourselves. Um, and we have this tendency, if anybody acts, you know, far out to what a lot of us may consider to be the norm or normal, we consider that person to be off. And I know that's something I have went through myself. Um, and there's some things I'm still going through. And before anyone, just kind of wondering, this dude is trying to um, cash in on mental illness. No, I'm not. Okay. If I'm going to go back and do this YouTube channel, it's going to be about gaming. But I have talked about issues concerning mental illness, or something that may have been concerning that was addiction. And if I can remember, I'll try to put it in the end card, or you can just go back on my channel and look for it. It was a vid that I did a while back. But I remember my pastor, coming up, this is when I was, very young, and I was going, I had to go to church, and because I was not acting a certain way, the pastor looked at me, pretty much told me straight up, was like, yeah, you're just off. And, you know, to some degree, he may be right. But also, it was something that I've noticed. It's because uh, people, it's like society has a certain set of like ways that you're supposed to think. It's something that I've come to realize. And society in and of itself try to impose itself on you. And I think that it's something that we all, to some degree, have to come out of. Um, and like I said, it's really more so on all of us. We have a tendency to be, I'm just talking about people in general. People in general have a tendency to be very hard on people, on people themselves, and it's because people go through stuff. This is not an easy world that we live in, and it the more I look at Etika, and especially looking at some of the videos that he put out, the more that I feel like that was some of the stuff that he was fighting back against. You know, I remember the one video where he was raging about Twitter suspending him because of the N word. And that kind of lets you know that there was something going on there. But in some ways, and of course, me and Etika may look at a lot of things differently, but it was still something that I could see and identify. You know, he was kind of in a way fighting back, against how society thought that he should be. And ironically, because he was doing that so much, in a way, he lost himself. And you would think that like especially for a lot of older people who may be listening to me, you may say that well, a lot of young people are like that. Look, let me tell you something. A lot of people, you could feel lost no matter what age you are. You could feel lost. You could feel completely out of place. You could feel teenage awkward at any age. Any age. It doesn't matter. Um, and I truly do think that we need to make mental illness a priority. And we need to understand what mental illness is and how it all affects us. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not trying to sit here and and exploit it, for my own gains, but it's something that I'm currently going through with. Um, you know, to tell you the truth, what kept me from taking my own life around probably a decade ago was the fact that I was broke. Because I didn't want to feel pain whenever I took myself out. Um, if I'd had the money to buy a gun, I wouldn't be here right now. Um, so I mean, and it's just for a lot of people, things could just start to compound, 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 and you know, I might do 1 or 2 videos about, this sort of thing, about this sort of issue. Um, because like I said, I think that, I'm sorry for the long pause. It's something that we all need to come to a grasp with. But it's not only just mental illness. I think that we need to try to open up and try to be more understanding of each other. Um, because we all are going through our own mess. I was kind of watching this channel. The name of the channel was called Knowing Better, and the guy on that channel, I don't know his name, but he was talking about MRAs and this condition called what about ism, and it's basically this thing, where a group of people, complain about their own, rights or whatever, but then you have another group come up and say, well, what about us, But the fact of the matter is that you end up saying that something like that because we all are going through our own crap. What we end up missing is that that we are ourselves, and to some degree, are not really the source of it. At least not intentionally. Okay? There are other factors that are at work that we really cannot control. That is just the truth of the fact of the matter. And there's a lot of things that goes on here, especially in the United States, I'm starting to become aware of that really, affects us in ways I have not even realized. And so, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm going to talk about this because um, I think that's the biggest part of why Etika took himself out. And I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest parts as to why we have, issues that I have, that we have of ourselves. Um, make no mistake, this will be a gaming channel. I will be gaming. As a matter of fact, my intent is to release a video because I have so much going on. Really, the only times I have off or have free is like Monday and Tuesday. So, I mean, that's just it. But I'm not going to try to be such a downer. Um, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. If there's one thing I want to leave with you all, when it comes to yourselves individually, give yourself a break. That's the first thing I would sit there and tell each and every single one of you. Many of you, I'm willing to bet, are not as bad as some of you may think that you are. I know to some degree, man, I beat myself up every day. But you know something? I've come to realize that I've came across some real jerks, and I know I'm not. I know that's something that I am not, at least at the core of me. And I choose to believe that many of you are not jerks to the core of you as well. So even if you do wrong, even if you don't see eye to eye with another person, give yourself a break. Take a moment to forgive yourself. And then the next thing I would tell you is after you do that, try to give the next guy a break. And notice I said try. uh, you can only do so much, man. You can only do so much. You're human. Um, we all do not have, the capacity to try and embrace everyone as they come, but we can develop it, and I think it takes time. So with that, I will leave you. Thank you for listening to me. This is Jazwon, JAZWON, and I'll end this video just like I will on every other video. Love and peace, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful day.